I went through the EOS system and I hired an implementer years ago. And one of the things I quickly learned from that process is that when you implement a system into your business or even your life, it has to work for you. You don't work for the system.
Yep.
And what I mean by that is initially I paid a lot of money to this implementer. We implemented EOS and I was so dead set on following EOS by the letter of the law, like by the exact, that what I found is that I needed to be a little bit more flexible and I needed to make sure that the system worked for the business, not the other way around. True or false, do you believe that to be the case with Profit First? Is that, yes, there's a framework that works, but at the end of the day, it needs to work for you, not you necessarily work for the Profit First system?
I love that and the way that you phrase that, because if you've heard a couple times on even this recording right here and this live, it's all about getting profit to be a habit in your business. Yeah. So if that's where, no, it's not like, oh, nope, you got to do it on the 10th and the 25th and do these transfers on these days. And you've got to make sure you have these specific accounts set up and you can't deviate at all. It's like, no, we've got real estate investors. Some of them have 10 accounts. Some of them have like 20 or 25 accounts just because they've got multiple entities, multiple different things that they're doing, different things they're saving for. It's like, no, it has to work for you. But the ultimate goal is to have control over your money and make profit a habit. So I would say that's why I wrote this too, because like you said, there was Profit First, but then Profit First for real estate investing takes it to like the nuances of real estate and like to tell you it's okay if you have this account for this other thing, or if you do transfers on a different day, and like it's okay, because that's where a lot of people, even that we work with, they're like, I implemented this, but I'm not sure I can take money out if I have it in the owner's comp account. And I'm like, that's what it's for. Like, that's where, like, I want you to be able to take this money and not feel bad about it. So it's like, I love that you're getting into the habit of it, but now it's like, that's why I want to, have a sub book of like, this is where, as a real estate investor, yes, you can do these things. You can grow. You can take more money. It's okay. And I even talk about their like reserves, growing your company, and like how those can really help as a real estate investor. And it's like, these are definitely things that weren't in the original book, but you don't have to follow it, I would say, to the T, but you have to follow the principles. The principles are what important. The principles of making sure you get into the habit of profitability, that you are doing transfers, that it is as automatic as possible, so you aren't taking a ton of time. I know this has been we're at 38 minutes now. It's like, this during your week should not take a bunch of time once you have it set up. Setting up the bank accounts might take you the most amount of time, because from there, it's literally money going into the income account, you transferring it by the percentages that you've already set in your mind and in on paper or whatnot, and then moving those and then moving on with your day and saying, okay, I got to close more deals because here's where the money's building. So there's a long-winded answer to what I think about the
and
system.
I think you summarized it best at the end when you said you don't have to follow the system, but you got to follow the principles. That's really what it's about. And give yourself the grace and the freedom and the flexibility to kind of like, to tweak and pivot as you go along, and you're gonna get into a rhythm. At least I found that I did. And then you tweak and modify from there. I mean, it's that simple. So guys, definitely want to encourage you to check out the book, simplecfobook.com, simplecfobook.com. And I believe, David, that'll redirect them to Amazon, right?
Correct. There's Amazon. And then some people have asked about bulk orders, and there's a bulk order. Like, even if you're buying just a couple copies, it's cheaper.
You mentioned there's some other accounts that you recommend for real estate investors. I think you touched, is the reserve account one of those?
That is one. The big one though is the OPM account. Other people's money. So that's where, if you're getting private money or bank money, like for doing rehabs or any kind of like short-term loan, it's super easy if you put it in your OPEX account to like use that money for things other than the rehab. So it's like, let's separate this money out so that way we know, okay, what do we have of other people's money for the projects? So that way we don't get ourselves into this Ponzi scheme of like, oh shoot, I've dipped so much into this, into their money that now I'm like funding it myself, the projects, and now like this project now is funding the last project. So that's where it's like, get that account so it at least gives you the warning lights of if you're getting low, and if if you're getting low of the money that you've taken from other people to use on projects. And I've also talked with like lots of private lenders and that know the profit first system because it's becoming a lot more popular. And they're like, we like when investors are on profit first because that helps us know like they should be allocating their money and they got, at least some savvy from as much as the owner can, manage their money. And if they have an OPM account, makes them feel a lot warm and fuzzy inside. So that's just a good way to separate out what money is yours versus what money is other people's.
I absolutely love that, man. I hadn't even thought about that account, and it makes so much sense, especially if you're raising capital. So, my friends, don't be overwhelmed by this system. Definitely read the book, Profit First for Real Estate Investing, simplecfobook.com. Like David said, my experience was the same thing that he highlighted. Is the most challenging part is just getting the account set up, actually taking the time to get to the bank, just doing these things. In some cases, you might even be able to do this online or over the phone. It just depends. I think the other challenge for me, David, is finding a bank where would allow me to open all these accounts where there wasn't all these monthly fees or you had to have certain balances that you have to hold. So, Chase for me has worked, but
Chase has worked for a lot of people that we work with. They're doing pretty good about that. And, if you get the right banker too, but then also just local banks, credit unions, those are sometimes a lot easier too. And they've become more modern in a lot of places too, that actually have online systems. And some of these, you can actually just open an account right there too. And there's some actual just 100% totally online banks as well now too. So
what do you wish you knew back then that you know now? What did you maybe overcomplicate or didn't consider that now it's just part of your everyday routine? It's just a no-brainer. You got to do this.
I mean, I would say profit first, like the whole system, because I read the Rich Dad Poor Dad and it made sense.
For people listening, I don't care if you do 1 deal a year or if you do 1,000 deals a year. Don't think I'm not making enough money, I'm not doing enough deals where this system doesn't make sense. And conversely, don't think my business is too complicated, I got too many moving parts, I got too many transactions. Don't make the mistake. Just read the book, implement the system. It's not difficult, and it could be a complete game changer for you.